All right, Jodie and Molly. So here's some feedback on the draft 2 of your music video. Obviously, there's not a huge amount to say because there's quite a lot still to film. But there's a few bits and pieces which I think are worth thinking about when you do go out filming on Thursday, I believe. I was chatting to Molly today about leading lines, and this is quite a nice shot which kind of illustrates that idea. You've kind of split the frame in two by using this staircase, this kind of wall from the staircase. That's a really good technique. Leading lines and kind of framing your character within other frames within the image is a really good technique for kind of creating a sense of entrapment. I also like what you're doing with a jump cut, where you've locked the camera down and you're allowing your actor to move. You also did some really nice, interesting things in our test footage, I seem to remember, with giving the camera to the actor and letting them do something with that. I thought that's something possibly you could play with, maybe. Possibly with some of these underwater shots, but don't have them jumping in with the camera in their hand. It'll look awful. Maybe. Anyway, so I'd quite like to see what else you're going to be filming. Obviously, portray his emotions and the tone of the song. How are you going to portray his emotions? Is this going to be by using his body language? And obviously, proxemics is a really useful way of doing it because it feels like you're going for something which is kind of more abstract. So that use of proxemics, that use of people with their backs to each other, or people not kind of communicating in some way because they're looking different ways out of the frame, it's quite an interesting way of doing it, as well as having people in the foreground and background. So using your depth of field to show distance and to show loss or abandonment or something like that. I'd be quite keen to have a chat with you about your shot list tomorrow, if that's possible, ahead of you film on Thursday. All right. So this is nice. It's a nice kind of medium close-up. Possibly what I'd say is, rather than popping them right in the middle of the frame, offset and put them on the third. Visually, it's more engaging and interesting. One way you can do it is kind of put their eye in dead center. That's kind of something which I've seen technique being used. Or you put him entirely on the third down the side. So, abstract on the beach, I quite like. Beach, you can obviously draw on the sand. You can film from above them, possibly. That might be something. But again, I think talking about proxemics, depth of field, the way they're looking through the frame and not at each other might be quite a nice way of doing it. So as far as I can see, your performance is made up entirely of 2 different shots. This profile shot of Noah, which is nice, which is good, and there's medium close-up straight on of Noah. Otherwise, I think that's kind of about it. That's not enough variety. That's gonna, you need much more variety in the performance. There's another one. That's good. That's a mid shot, and again you've got one on the third, which is better. So there you go, 3 shots. Obviously, we need to see what's going to happen with the T-shirt and what's going to be happening there. I think you could try doing something with food coloring and water, which will combine your 2 themes, your blue-red theme, which could work really, really nicely. And also give you some more abstract, especially if you've got 2 kind of water elements of water, one blue, one red. I don't know, to signify the 2 characters and their separation or something like that. Again, we've been talking about this shot. Are you really filming it because Noah doesn't know the words? But again, you've got interesting leading lines. You've got, so visually it's more interesting because of your lines through the frame, vertical and kind of horizontal through the frame, and it works quite nicely. So certainly down at the bathing pools, You know, obviously you've got your underwater shots again, which you can do. Again, what I'm concerned about is what is this going to be? You know, what are we actually going to see of that? You know, you've got the theme of water. If you just go down there and think, well, I'm going to film random stuff, it might work, but you know, I'd be a little bit anxious about that, because that's a great big chunk of kind of abstract stuff, which could work, focusing on water and pebbles, but I'd also take some other objects down there, maybe a red or a blue object, you know, for the two characters, or something that seems out of place, you know, whether it's a lost item of clothing, or whether it's a ring, or whether it's something which kind of signifies their relationship, which is kind of left on the beach there. Worth having a little bit of a think about. So you've got this big splash. So yeah, so I think I know what sort of shot you're going for at that he's kind of lost. I would possibly do some shots of him just right on the edge of the water, of the diving board. You know, he's going to fall, or he has fallen. You know, and him maybe looking down, eyeline matches into the water. You know, a piece of bright red cloth in the water, to kind of signify some of those things. So certainly really sort of brainstorm a few shots that you're going to do for these kind of more abstract, arty type shots. Okay. Also, I think you're going to have to film more performance, unless of course you're filming performance down there as well. Think about your lines, think about frames within frames and leading lines, think about your thirds, think about your proxemics. All of these things are very powerful in creating meaning, as well as symbolic objects that are, you know, stand for the two guys who are in love. You know, whether they're ribbons, or whether it's I say flowers are the typical kind of romantic thing, but it could be other things. And cloth in water, nice kind of long, can look good, but play with this blue-red theme. You've got the blood on the t-shirt, you know, slowly kind of becoming more and more red, and you've got this blue, and you could do something interesting with that. So anyway, I hope that's helpful, and obviously I'm very, very keen to see some more footage in, because at the moment you are behind. Okay, and you need to be really proactive, because the deadline for this video is 3 weeks Friday. Okay, thank you very much, ladies.